Hey everyone. Hi everybody. Is my microphone working? I certainly hope so. Because I don't got time to buy a new one. Oh, what happened there? I'm a mess. Absolute mess, honey. Hello everybody. Welcome to the OVC Town Hall. This evening we are featuring the stylings of Veronica Williams, an independent candidate for Texas's U.S. House of Representatives, District 23. What am I looking for? I know she's here. I saw her. There she is. Miss Veronica. Come on up. Hello.
Hi there.
Hi.
Hi. Miss Ayana, you're not a mess. You look lovely.
Oh, thank you. I would love to see what you look like.
I am attempting to make my camera work. There I
There you
am.
are. Hello.
Hi. And I promised that I put the background earlier, and now I don't know where it went.
Listen, every time you people come to this space, nobody knows how to do anything. It's their first day on TikTok. Oh my gosh. And look, I have no arms. It looks like I have no arms, right? I do. I promise.
But here's the funny thing. I've been doing TikTok lives, so I usually have a background, but I don't know what happened to it.
It's okay. If you can't find it, it's okay. Don't
Okay.
don't don't worry about your voice sounds so familiar. I feel like I've heard you on a TikTok live before. And I'm
Yeah,
not being funny.
like I mentioned, I do my own TikTok lives, but before I became a candidate, I'm a mental health professional by trade. So
Mhm.
before I became a candidate, I was still on TikTok talking about mental health.
Oh, nice. Okay, so we're going to get into some of your backgrounds. I'm just going to remind the viewers to please share out the live. I see 152 shares. I love it.
Oh, wow.
Um, you can add this to your story. You can repost it. Veronica, have you shared this to your followers? Do they know you're here? I certainly
Yes.
hope so.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, we want to get as many people in here as possible, especially Texans, because early voting starts in Texas next Tuesday. Yay! And it runs through the 27th, and the primary is on March 3rd. So the big day is coming up, and we
It
want
is.
people you're in West Texas, right? Your district is in West Texas.
Yes, my district is massive.
I was looking. I'm like looking at all the cities, and the population is 786,000 thereabouts. That's a lot of people.
Yes. A lot of
Wow.
hands to shake and a lot of walking to do.
A lot of walking to do, and it's mostly Hispanic.
Yes.
Uh, a nice mix of white and some black, but
Yes.
it looks like it's for the most part there's some diversity. You have Sierra Blanca, you have Del Rio, you have Uvalde, you have Eagle Pass, Alpine. And of course, we know the Texas House of Representatives is a highly contested race for all of the seats, and every single seat in the U.S. House of Representatives is open, so they're all competitive. You're running as an independent candidate, Veronica. We're going to get into that, but I wanted to do a little bit of introduction. Hello, my name is Ayana. If you've been here before, you know me. I'm here almost every night. No, I'm kidding. I am a moderator for OVC, and we will also have moderators in the chat who will help keep the conversation moving along and make me aware of any questions. If you have questions for Veronica, you may leave them in the chat, or you can hit the multi-guest option and you can come up and you can ask her yourself. Also, please be kind. Please be kind to our guest. Be kind to me. I mean, I could take it, but please don't be mean to the guests. Also, be kind in the comments. Don't troll us. We do such good work here. We want the love. Yes, love. Hashtag love. That's right. Pass the love around.
Right.
OVC, Our Vote Counts, is a nonpartisan coalition of citizens from diverse states. I'm in Ohio, and backgrounds united by a shared commitment to empowering voters and promoting candidates who stand for integrity, inclusion, and accountability in the upcoming elections. Our Vote Counts is more than a name. It's a promise, a movement, and a rallying cry for democracy. Together, we are shaping the future, one informed vote at a time. And as I mentioned, tonight we are with Veronica Williams, an independent candidate for the U.S. House of Representatives out of Texas, District 23. Veronica was born in Mexico to Mexican American parents. The noises. Could you guys just keep it down just a little bit? I'm kidding. I'm kidding. She proudly joined the U.S. Navy from 1990 to 1994. She is also married to a veteran. Okay, I like that. They once lived in California. I'm just reading. Your background is fantastic. She has a bachelor's degree in psychology. As she said, she works in the mental health field. Veronica, for those who are meeting you for the first time, please do a better job of telling people about yourself than I did. And let them know why you're running for office and as an independent. Fill us in.
All right. Well, like Miss Ayana said, I'm Veronica Williams and a progressive independent candidate for the state of Texas, District 23. I believe that enough is enough with this corruption, with this unhealthy economy, with the division, and with the ICE raids. Now, I'm running as an independent, Miss Ayana, because for two reasons. Number one, as a mental health professional, all my background is in psychology. So I understand how group psychology works, group dynamics work. And I'll give you an example. When a party wants a particular candidate, even though that candidate may be unhealthy or unpopular, the group tends to pressure others to fall in line, even though they may voice their concerns, their opinions. Sometimes they're humiliated or shamed to fall back in line. Now, we see this take place in all groups, right? So it's not only Republicans, it's the Democrat as a group, and we see this at micro and macro levels. And so as an independent, no one's going to tell me who to vote for or who to support, you know? And number two, if we're really honest with ourselves, there's very high levels of corruption, and we see corruption on both sides. And I don't want to associate myself with corruption. With that said, I don't take corporate monies and I don't take APAC funds either.
Okay, and something I learned about Texas, I learned this just the other day. When you vote in Texas, you can vote for whatever party you want. You know, you don't have to vote Republican or Democrat. You don't have to be a Republican or Democrat. You can vote for whomever you want. And sometimes people find it safest to not disclose that. Have you had any, just talking about your campaign, have you had encountered any roughness on the trail, on the campaign trail?
You know, as soon as I threw my name in the ring, I started block walking. So I was a little apprehensive about block walking, but to be honest with you, I love it because, again, as a clinician, I know how to connect with people. And so I've been having a really good time making friendships. And for the most part, I've had just one mishap thus far. And I've had great conversations with Democrats, with Republicans, with independents, with conservatives. But there was just one encounter that I really had to put my therapist hat on and de-escalate this certain individual.
Oh, wow.
But outside of that, I've been having really great conversations with people.
That's good to hear. That's encouraging. I like that. I like it when the people are just civil in their discourse. We can disagree, but at least be civil, please.
Yeah. And Miss Diana, I think it's different because, you know, on TikTok, people hide behind a facade or a fake name, you know, but when you're face to face, they're a little bit nicer.
Yes, they're not so inflammatory with the language.
That's right.
Y'all remember that. If you can't say it to my face, don't say it at all, maybe. I don't know.
That's right. I'm for that.
So let's get into talking about the border and immigration because there's an agency that's probably about to be defunded. I'm hearing there's no deal to fund it. Texas 23 includes more border miles than almost any other district. What specific border policies would you champion that balance security with humanity?
I love that question, Miss Ayana. I am a strong believer in protecting our borders. With that said, Border Patrol agents should be at our borders. They've been doing a great job with patrolling the border via jeeps, via vehicles, via horseback. I'm not sure if you knew that,
I've
but they
seen
also,
it. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So, and then we use helicopters, we use drones. So they're very well equipped. Now, the part where I disagree is the inhumane way that the ICE raids are being conducted. With that said, I am a strong believer that we do need to abolish ICE, and people that have broken the law and have destroyed pretty much the Constitution by not giving people their due process and have gone as far as unaliving individuals, I think that they need to face accountability, because if they don't, this will replay again sometime in the future. And we really need to give some sense of security and safety for our citizens if we want them to really thrive and reach the higher echelons of their careers and also reach self-actualization.
And for I guess voting and party purposes, unless the voters see either party holding people accountable for their actions, they might withdraw their support. I mean, that's what I'm hearing a lot from people who vote Democrat is they want to see prosecutions for this thing, and if they don't see it, by 2028, who knows what the landscape is going to look like. So yeah, there needs to be accountability in that realm. Okay, how will you ensure? Oh, wait a minute, where did it go? You know what? This is what I get for moving too fast. How will you ensure that border communities aren't treated as political props, but as places where people live, work, and raise families?
Miss Ayana, I couldn't hear you because of all the noise in the
Right, the
background. And
celebration in the
I
background.
do want to be transparent. I want to inform people that I do have a hearing disability. So I appreciate all the beautiful gifts that I can see. They're amazing, but it doesn't allow for me to hear properly.
Okay, so I don't know how, you know what? When you talk, I will mute so you can't hear the noise from my end. I don't know what else to do about the other noise except people, can you send quieter gifts? I don't know. You know
Please,
what?
just for a little bit.
I have gone into TikTok settings to figure out how to turn off you can't turn it off. They want you to hear all of the bells and whistles and whooshes and swishes and waves, and it's crazy.
And they're fun. I love them
They are
too.
fun. They are. But when you're trying to have a conversation and you hear, there's fireworks in the background, it's crazy. But so the question was, how will you ensure that border communities aren't treated as political props, but places where families live and work?
That's a great question. So I'm sure, Miss Ayana, that you and all your viewers have noticed that every single season when political campaigns kick off, the border is always an issue, And I strongly believe that our current politicians on both sides really don't want to fix that issue because, again, it gives them a talking point. But the way that I want to go to Congress and fix this is that I want to actually bring solutions to the table. We have to have a pathway to citizenship, to dreamers that have been in this country for a long time, and they're still waiting for that path of citizenship. I'm not sure if you're familiar, Miss Ayana, but here in the state of Texas wants to take away their ability to work. And these are dreamers that have already married American citizens, have American citizen children. And then on top of that, they want to take away their right to work. So how can families provide for their children? How can two partners provide for their children. And let's face it, now it's not like the old days when one partner can really afford to take care of the whole entire family. Now it requires two partners to really work. So talk about taking away generational wealth from families, you know? And so definitely our dreamers 100% need a pathway to citizenship. Other people that have been here legally need a pathway to citizenship as well. And so I want to go back to putting those Border Patrol agents back on our borders, but also creating a pathway to citizenship for the people that I just mentioned.
You're in a district where that absolutely matters. When you're out, walking and talking to people, are you finding that there is strong support for a pathway to citizenship?
Honestly, to be honest with you, we don't talk about that. What really, the main 2 points that people really want to engage in is the inhumane way that human beings are being treated. Now, we all agree that undocumented people, especially those that create crimes, engage in, felony behavior. We all agree that those people should be, transported back to their countries of origin. But for everyone else, there is a humane way to treat people. And what's wrong with treating people in a humane way?
I totally agree with you. I don't know where anybody would disagree. But I think recently, was it Representative Jamie Raskin he was granted access to visit a detention center, and what he saw was not humane at all. And that's one of the reasons why the vote to fund the DHS has not passed in the Senate. There's no excitement for it. When the Patriot Act was passed in 2002, there was excitement for it. Obviously, they felt a need for it, but it's slowly becoming just a thing that we're throwing money into and saying, hey, let's get rid of that word that I hate to say. And that has become a political ideology that every 2 years, every 4 years, someone who's running for office is saying it and getting people worked up, getting their fears worked up. So how do you, and how do you suppose to, I guess, I don't want to say change people's minds, but soften people's hearts towards the presence of immigrants again in the United States? It seems like people have really turned on just even the idea of immigrants, period, in the US. And leaders are not doing a very good job of saying these people helped build our nation. And we need more of that. We're still a nation under construction. We're not finished. How do you get that message across?
To be honest with you, I think the current administration is doing that hard work for me. Like I said, when I'm block walking, the two major points that people want to discuss is the inhumane way that undocumented people and even people that are here legally are being treated. And number two, it's the economy, right? But I'm going to continuously remind them and show them pictures and videos of like, look, we don't want to go back to that. A lot of Americans have said, I don't recognize this country anymore. This is not the America that I love. And so I will remind them of the ugly parts that we experience. And if we don't do something about it now, history will play out once again.
I like that response. And speaking of the economy, but before we get into more questions, I want to remind people, if you have a question for Veronica, you are welcome to hit the multi-guest and ask her yourself, or you can leave it in the chat. I didn't see anything in the chat. But again, if you have any questions, it's fine. We don't bite. I don't bite. And I'm very hungry right now. I'm very hungry. I haven't had dinner, and I'm not kidding. But
Miss Ayana, we should have met at a diner or something.
What's a favorite place for you to eat in your area? What's like a nice spot? I've never been to Texas, so I would have no idea.
You should totally come. The Brazilian Steakhouse is a popular place here in San Antonio, and you would totally love it. So, oh my goodness, do you drink alcohol?
No, I don't.
Oh, if you did, there is a fun drink that I love to watch. It's called a Life Changer.
Oh,
And they put all kinds of different flavors in it. They light it on fire, and it's a whole spectacle, you know? So it's actually fun. So if you are within like a party and one of them like enjoys beverages, you should order it just to see the show because
just
it's
to see,
amazing.
just
Yeah,
to
I
see the
love it.
show. I bet you
Just
it
to see
costs
the
like,
show.
how much is that? Like $100 for
No,
no?
no, it's like 14 bucks or something like that.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
that's cheaper than a movie. Come on.
Yeah, you're right.
So, on to the economy. Recent reporting shows West Texas farmers and ranchers are squeezed by rising costs and weak commodity prices. What specific economic relief or support would you back for agriculture and ranching in your district?
I love that. I love that you asked that. So first and foremost, we need to get rid of the tariffs. Clearly, they were implemented. It's a no-go. They didn't work. We all know that we're the ones paying for these tariffs, you know. And recently, actually this week, we saw the House remove tariffs for Canada. So we need to continue on that momentum and really just do away with the tariffs because they're just not working, first and foremost. While I was block walking, I came across a small ranch owner, and he has a lot of cattle. So his business is in, of course, beef. And he was very upset that the current administration actually allowed for a lot of beef from Argentina to come into our country. Well, what did that do for the Texas ranchers? That made the price of beef go down. So now they're seeing a cut in their revenue, and they're completely appalled that that was allowed because they were like, I thought he was America first. It seems like he's, Argentina or the country that starts with the letter I first, you know. And so I would definitely like to put strong boundaries of, let's empower our farmers for them to be first, and let's buy American beef and American products, other products like potatoes and corn and soybeans here.
And the current occupant of the White House did announce that there would be a bailout for farmers. That was back in December. It hasn't come yet. There's not even a framework for it. He said that he would use the tariff money to pay it out, but he's not legally allowed to spend that money. So in the meantime, what are cattle ranchers and farmers in your area doing? Do you know? Are they, I don't know if they would have to sell or file for bankruptcy. How are they handling this squeeze that they're feeling?
Well, currently here in the state of Texas, we're experiencing our winter, even though it was pretty warm today. And so for right now, they're holding on to their cattle. But my concern for them is really going to be in the summer when we typically experience droughts. And so then I think at that point, they're going to be forced to sell some of their cattle at below market price because then it'll cost them too much to, use water and other hay just to feed them and keep them alive. So they might experience a big loss.
Oh wow, that's sad.
Hmm.
So there have been labor disruptions tied to immigration enforcement, and they're hitting small construction firms and other border employers. What policies would you support to ensure District 23 has a reliable workforce for local businesses?
What policies would I implement so they can, definitely, I think we need to make a lot of people aware of who's hiring and where they can go to apply. And this is especially important in the smaller communities. So, for example, I reside in a very small town. So, here in this small town, if you don't have a vehicle, your opportunities are limited. So if you don't have a car, like I said, your opportunities are limited. We have no buses here. There's no train station here. So I would really like to empower small businesses and other farmers and ranchers to hire locally, or for them also to not only put the word out via, social media news outlets, but also to inform the public, hey, we're hiring. And if it's possible for them to really get like buses and shuttles to bus and shuttle people from the smaller towns that don't have public transportation at all so they can have access to these jobs.
Wow. I didn't even think about that. I didn't think
Mhm.
about that. Yeah, that's got to be difficult. That really has to be difficult.
It is.
Um, so how do you think Texas should work with federal partners to ensure trade remains a stable source of jobs and revenue?
You know, that's currently difficult because I don't believe that the current administration is really helping with that. I think they're really creating a big roadblock for that. So a lot of changes need to take place, especially at the top, in order for us to really work cohesively and effectively. And I can't wait to get there to Congress so that we can remove some of the roadblocks that are currently there, even if this means we need to impeach a few people.
All right. And again, if anybody in the audience has a question, you're welcome to ask. Don't let me do all the talking. Believe me, I will talk all day, all night.
Me
I
too. I'm a
do
mental
it.
health therapist, so I like to chat.
And we have a few moderators who are Texans. They're always so shy, though. Or maybe they think they know everything about Texas. Listen, there are some things you can learn about your state, honey. So
Yes.
moving on to education, how will you make sure state education funding that it receives from the federal government prioritizes rural district needs, not just large urban districts?
That's very difficult to do currently because the state of Texas mirrors the current administration. As a matter of fact, I believe it was last year that Governor Abbott passed the voucher program for education. With that passing of the voucher program, this is really providing monies to people that can already afford to send their children into private schools. So it's very difficult to allow for the funding of public schools with where the majority of people of color go to school, myself included. And we really need to make some big changes, and that means electing a lot of other candidates and politicians that are very pro-serving we the people from the top down, from people that we're going to vote to represent us in Congress to state level also. Because if not, we're going to see major disparities once again that predominantly affect people of color, children of color. Here in the state of Texas, the Texas comptroller has the power of the purse, so to speak, and that individual is going to oversee and approve the school funding when it comes to approving private school vouchers. Now, Texas doesn't have a good history with being, how should I say this in TikTok terms, diverse in their thinking or pro diversity.
Mhm.
So that really concerns me. I believe that, again, we're going to see disparities and we will see a major gap in who gets the privilege of an education instead of having a right of a good education.
And so typically the US Department of Education has been the agency leading the way in ensuring um, diversity is needs are met in school districts, but also accommodation needs are met for students who may have mental health issues or any kind of physical disability. What's your opinion on this dismantling of the Department of Education, and what do you think should happen in the next congressional term in 2027? When you get to Congress, what do you hope to do to put that agency back together and maybe make it stronger?
I totally hate and I disagree with dismantling the Department of Ed. I believe that an educated workforce, educated Americans, whether it's via college or trade school, we will just benefit from all that plethora of knowledge and skills. Unfortunately, the current administration doesn't see it that way. So my hope is to kind of sort of get to Congress and clean house Miss Ayana, to put it nicely, so that we can reconstruct some of these departments. Because to be honest with you, a lot of these departments are broken. But if we look on the bright side, that means we can work together to build them like we really want to, so they can really represent and serve all Americans, not just the privileged and the well-off.
Okay. The state and workforce agencies have awarded more than $1.2 million in JET grants to West Texas schools for career and technical programs that train students for high demand jobs. How would you support expanding these opportunities locally in District 23?
Well, to be honest with you, I wasn't aware of that program. But I'm glad that you're educating me on that one. Can I write it? I'm gonna write that one down. What did you call it again?
Yeah, it's the JET. I'm gonna get the name for it. Hold on, just this was announced in October 2025. Governor Abbott. He announced 4 jobs and wait a minute, this sentence makes no sense. Governor Greg Abbott today announced 4 jobs and education for Texans grants. Oh, it's 4 different grants totaling. Oh, that's why. Okay. See?
Okay.
But it's called Jobs and Education for Texans, JET grants totaling over $1.2 million awarded to 4 schools in West Texas by the Texas Workforce Commission. They will support career and technical education training programs by helping the schools purchase and install equipment to initially train over 330 students for high demand occupations such as nurses, welders, and industrial engineering technicians. Oh, okay.
Yeah. It sounds promising, but I'm wondering out loud what 4 schools are going to get this money. And I'm also hoping that some of that money comes into the small towns, like the ones where I reside, because when I'm block walking, I've also blocked walk in these small towns. And one of the concerns here is that we're not seeing federal monies in the smaller towns, that they all go to the bigger cities like San Antonio and El Paso.
Well, this says Culberson County and Allamore Independent School District will receive $265,000 for 50 students as to become registered nurses in partnership with Odessa College. Denver City will receive $319,000 for 141 students for nursing training. Iran Sheffield Collegiate will receive $277,000 to train 40 students as welders at Odessa College. So it looks like it's in conjunction with programs at local community colleges.
Oh, wow.
And
You had mentioned,
Seagraves ISD.
okay, so you had mentioned like Alamo something, and to be honest with you, there is a school district called Alamo. I don't want to say Alamo Ranch, Alamo Heights.
Allamore Independent School District.
Okay, so if it's Alamo Heights, they're already a pretty wealthy school district.
Oh, wow. Well, they just got $265,000 wealthier to train people to become nurses, which is
That's
interesting
surprise.
considering that the federal government has decided that nursing is not worth investing in.
That's right,
So,
along with mental health professionals.
along with mental health professionals and social workers and a lot of other different programs. So I don't, is there a nursing shortage in the district, in your district? Is there a nursing and medical professional shortage?
Absolutely. There's a shortage for nurses. There's a shortage for mental health professionals. So, what we have seen though is that, of course, the United States brings nurses from outside of the country, right? I have personally have experienced nurses that come from the Philippine Islands. So we definitely need more nurses. And talking about the healthcare field, there is also a national shortage of psychiatrists. And so I would also like to see funding with psychiatrists.
Yeah, there is. And I know personally that there is a shortage of people to attend therapy, but more people who do need to attend therapy. I think that
Yes.
people are, once those subsidies, those ACA subsidies were cut off, people cut out one of the things that they absolutely needed, but they had to make a tough choice. And mental health therapy was one of those things. And so a lot of therapists, at least where I live at, are seeing openings where they hadn't seen them in recent years because of the big germ that we experienced a couple of years ago. They saw a lot of uptick in enrollment, and now they're seeing it decline because people don't have the funds, or Medicare and Medicaid are not paying for them like they used to. What's your experience as a mental health professional? What is your experience working with, I don't know, federal government funding? I don't know if you work with Medicaid or Medicare patients, if you have any experience in that regard, if you have any difficulty in dealing with that.
Yes, I love your question because I'm a mental health professional in private practice. So I used to deal with healthcare companies. So I used to deal with Medicaid. I used to deal with the private insurance companies, the Aetnas, the Blue Cross Blue Shield, and all of those. And I have to tell you that I understand why people are very unhappy with their healthcare insurances because one, they make a lot of money by denying services. So they take monthly premiums. They take the deductible money. They force people to pay co-pays. And then at the end, they're denying a lot of services. But here's the catch that a lot of people don't know. On the other side, on the provider side, they also deny payment to us on a regular basis.
Oh, wow.
So, and I've had to fight with them many times, even a month or 2 months after I've already provided services for a client. So it's normal to still keep fighting with the insurance companies for payment, and that's not sustainable. And I know not only do they do this to mental health professionals, but they do this to other medical providers as well. But this is a reason why I'm a huge proponent for universal health care. Yeah, Bernie Sanders, who I'm a big fan of, he likes to call it Medicare for all. I honestly don't care what we call it as long as all US citizens are covered with health care, to include access to mental health providers, to include prescription drugs, to include dental. And I just want to say a tidbit about dental. It just seems like more often than not, having a dentist is a luxury in our country. And I don't agree with that. I live about 2 hours away from the border. My husband and I, last year during the summer, we decided, hey, we didn't believe that we just lived 2 hours away from the border. Let's go check it out. So we took a drive in the summer. We went to Eagle Pass and we crossed into this beautiful little town called Piedras Negras. Miss Ayana, I'm not joking when I'm telling you I saw an abundance of dental offices, general dentistry, people doing braces, pediatric dentistry, oral surgeries, all of them with signs in their windows and doors that say, "We speak English." And I was amazed on how many Americans cross the border, not only for their dental needs, but for their medical needs as well.
So the dental tourism is real. Like I've seen videos on TikTok, but I'm like, I'm wondering if people are really doing this. They're going over the border to get dental work and then coming back to the United States. And it's interesting to me because people will come back to the US and they will, talk smack about Mexico and Mexicans. But here they are going over the border to get inexpensive, crowns and braces and bridges and root canals and all that good stuff. So,
And BBL is what we're talking
oh,
about.
Well,
They
since you
do it
brought
all.
it up, how much can you give me? No, I'm kidding. I don't need it. I don't need it.
You're lucky, girl. You're lucky.
But we do have a question from the audience. Nookie, are you there?
Yeah, can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Miss Veronica, thank you for being here tonight and answering our questions. I want to start. My question is, though, as we were talking about health insurance and how cumbersome the information that we receive as participants of healthcare plans, and how so much of the verbiage is not easily translated to the everyday person. What is a policy that you would implement or that you would support that would make that paperwork more digestible for the everyday person? And what policy would you introduce to break up some of the monopolies that are in health insurance right now that are receiving monies from every which end while still having the power to deny the paying customer of what they're paying for?
Thank you for your question. I really appreciate it. So first and foremost, this is why I'm a big believer in universal healthcare, single payer source, just like Bernie Sanders says, because in this way, we actually get rid of the greedy health insurance companies that we have. I'm okay with doing away with them. Second, one of the things that I learned when I was going to grad school is that when I'm talking with clients, I have to use layman's terms. I have to use my client's language, right? I can't use my fancy terms that I used in school and say something like, well, individuals should be congruent with the verbalizations and their behaviors that they play out, right? So with that in mind, I would really like to put it in the bills that, hey, we have to use everyday common terms. We have to simplify these terms. We have to use layman terms, because why does everything have to have attorney verbiage? You know, to be honest with you, even running as an independent candidate, it was difficult. And I have a master's degree and I had to Google some of these words.
Okay, and then my second question is a follow up. As we see, as we have seen that premiums are on the rise, and I know that you are for universal health care, but in my head, I think that's a much longer game that we're playing for. But I think for what the situation is right now, with premiums going up, and at the same time that out of pocket deductible is also raising and making it even more affordable for people to go to see a doctor or just go for prevention things, because like you said, you have to fight with both. Well, me, in my experience, I've had to fight with the hospital to have them send the bill back to the insurance company. Then I've had to turn around and fight with my personal insurance company for them to pay the bill. But in terms, it's already in a like, what are some more protections that could be put in place from your experience dealing with the system that will protect the patient in this situation?
Yes, I get it. You know, universal health care, it sounds really great, but it might be an uphill fight. So we do need some protections for our consumers and our providers so that insurance companies can actually pay bills and approve all these procedures that they're currently denying. So we need to write a bill, pass it into law that actually forces them to approve common sense procedures, because a lot of patients are not seeking elective surgeries. These are necessary procedures that we need. These are necessary office visits that we need. And so we really need to introduce a bill, get it passed into law to really force them to approve these things. And if not, they can get fined. And to be honest with you, I would love to find these billionaire insurance companies tons of money. So I think they also need to fear being fined in order to pressure them to actually pay and approve these procedures for patients.
Okay. Thank you. I like that last answer. Yeah, it's fine now. Let's get that money back because
That's
they're
right.
taking subsidies off of our bats, and I don't like it.
I don't like it either.
All right. Thank you, Nookie. Okay. Let's see. You know what? I want to change it up a bit and ask some rapid fire questions. These are yes or no responses. Should border communities have a direct say in federal border policy?
Yes.
Should Congress increase funding for rural broadband in your district?
100% yes.
Do you support federal investment in long-term water infrastructure for West Texas?
100% yes.
All right. Should asylum cases be processed faster, even if it requires more federal staffing?
Yes.
Should veterans in your district have guaranteed access to mental health care within 30 days of separating from the government?
Yes, I would encourage it to be less than 30 days though.
Oh, okay. Should the federal government expand solar and wind incentives in rural counties?
Yes.
Should the Customs and Border Patrol be required to use body-worn cameras in all field operations?
Yes.
Should San Antonio receive less of the district's federal funding so rural towns get more?
Yes, it's badly needed.
Okay. Should Congress raise the minimum salary for teachers in rural districts?
Yes.
And finally, should your district get priority status for federal drought resilience grants?
Yes.
Okay. There was something else I wanted to ask you. Oh, with with the Joint Base San Antonio and a large veteran population in your district, what's the first federal change you'd push to improve veterans' access to mental health care?
Oh, I love that question. So first and foremost, I totally disagree with the Doge department, especially laying off or firing a lot of staff, because this has made wait times for our veterans increase, and there's a decrease in services because of that. So I would actually go back and hire a lot of these positions, but also I would like to see a couple of changes in regards to mental health. In the past, our vets had access to acupuncture, and that was taken away. I'm not sure why, to be honest with you, but I don't agree with that, because now what they're pushing is just prescriptions, and that really doesn't help all veterans. It helps some, but not all. And this really just lines up the pockets of Big Pharma, which I totally disagree with. And I would like to see other services provided besides bringing back acupuncture. There's also TMS, and that's like a transcranial type of treatment that involves magnets. I would also like to do a little bit of introducing new therapies. I'm open to opening therapies with this substance that I'm trying to think of the appropriate TikTok word. We'll call it an herb. I think you guys know what I'm talking about. So I'm totally open to using that in regards to it being a treatment for our veterans. And I'm also pro using psychedelics. As a matter of fact, if we look to our neighbors in the South, Mexico is providing those treatments in regards to psychedelics to a lot of people. So it's not uncommon, once again, to go down to Mexico and receive those mental health treatments.
Do you know if is it legal I guess you can't bring anything back across the border though, can you? You can't.
You can bring some prescription drugs, but it can't look like you're going to open your own pharmacy here.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
Uh-huh.
So how will you address, well, you know what? I'm going to toss that question. You're a veteran. What do you think of this change to the Department of WAR from the Department of Defense? What do you think about the changes Hegseth has made to the service?
I totally disagree, because it puts us, we should just call ourselves a big old bully, because that's what it means. I disagree with their stance of peace through strength. We're no longer doing covert operations with other countries. We are overtly toppling governments, kidnapping their leaders. And I totally hate what has taken place at those levels. My concern is with our service members. because I'm a veteran, because I'm married to a veteran that did 3 tours in Iraq and 1 to Afghanistan. And by the way, Miss Ayana, my husband and I love this country so much that we insisted that all 4 of our kids also serve this great nation. And they did. All
Wow.
4.
That is
And
amazing.
yeah.
That's
So,
amazing. We thank
so
you for
this
your service. That is amazing.
my pleasure. But
Wow.
my concern is with the service members. It's with the military families because I know what it is to be a wartime Army spouse. And we are going into conflicts that we don't need to engage in. We didn't need to do away and unalive fishermen and attack fishing boats. There is no need for us to cause conflict with Iran. There's no need for that because all that does is that we're going to witness our service members come back unalived. We're going to witness severe casualties. We're going to witness the maiming of our service members. We're going to experience higher rates of PTSD, domestic violence, and everything that comes with that. Because I'm sure you already know, Miss Ayana, when people struggle with PTSD and severe mental health issues, it just doesn't stay with that individual. It trickles down to the whole entire family.
Yeah.
I know this as a mental health professional, and I know this because my husband suffers with PTSD. So, every once in a while, I have to put on my hat, my mental health therapist cap, and still apply those skills even in my own home.
And that's got to be tough. And when you turn, like there are families turning to the VA for assistance and they're finding either long wait times or denials for service. What changes, besides those that you mentioned, should there be? I mean, I guess we spend a lot on defense, but not a lot on veterans' health. Do you think that that's erroneous? Should we be taking more money from here and putting it here? And what changes structurally do you think need to be made to the defense budget?
To be honest, because we have a lot of service members and veterans unaliving themselves because of PTSD and their war experience, we do need to increase fundings that it also includes the families, the spouses, the children. My experience with my husband struggling, he started to struggle when he was still active duty. His struggles really didn't surface and boil over, so to speak, until he was going through a retirement process and he really didn't have missions to accomplish and keep his brain busy. And so when my husband struggled and everything boiled over, it really affected us. And as a active duty Army spouse, I didn't get any help. I got no support from the Army. My kids and I got no support from the military. So we need to be proactive because it's not like we don't know that these things happen. They happen and they happen very often. And so we need to provide those services to include crisis management. Okay, I know that this happened. Your husband just tried to unalive himself. Let's get you into services. What supports do you need? Here we are. And not only for the spouses, but for the children. Because to be honest with you, that was a really tough time for my family. And not only did I have to make sure that my husband got the services that he needed, but I also had to put my needs on the back burner to tend to my 4 teenagers. Back then they were teenagers, So that was a very difficult time. And I did this alone with absolutely no assistance from the Army.
And speaking of family, what do they think about your run for the U.S. House of Representatives? What are they saying? Are they like, go mom, go Veronica? Or are they like, you're crazy. Why do you want to get into that? Why do you want to do that?
Well, all my kids, they're used to me doing things, They've always seen me go to college. For 14 years, I was a stay-at-home mom, especially when my husband was deployed to wars and trainings. So they saw me juggle everything that I had to do by myself besides raising all four of them. They saw me go to school, and then they saw me open up my own private practice. So they just see me being busy. And this is just something else that I'm adding to my resume, so to speak. And to be honest with my husband, I informed him after the fact.
Oh,
But
okay.
he's very supportive.
Okay, well, I'm glad that he's supportive. Yeah, it's such a, for anybody who runs for office, it is a tough thing just to run for office. And
Yes.
you're running without the benefit of having that, that larger like DNC, RNC behind you. You're running without the millions of dollars or sometimes billions that candidates get. And you're
Mm-hmm.
really relying on the small dollar donors to help get you over the line. How's the fundraising going?
Thank you for asking that question, Miss Ayana. There's actually a movement with a lot of independents to accept absolutely no money. We are very pro taking big money out of politics. And so when this was presented to me, I really had to think it over. I really had to process it because some people are more fortunate that their districts are tiny. So they can literally just hop in their cars and drive everywhere that they need to go. But my district is massive.
Yeah.
It takes 8 hours to drive from San Antonio all the way to El Paso. So realistically, I do need to accept some individual funding. Like I said before, I don't take corporate money, I don't take APAC funds, but I am in need of some individual funding. I'm not trying to stay in the Four Seasons Hotel. I'm not trying to do that. If
Just
I
a
could,
tank
I
of
would take.
gas.
That's right. If I could, I'd take a horse and buggy if I could. But realistically, I can't. So, with that said, I cannot be part of this massive movement with my other fellow independents and take absolutely no funds because of the size of the district. I am taking some individual funding, but it's bare minimum because, like I said, we are for taking big money out of politics because this clearly corrupts people.
All right, I hope you all in the audience heard that. She needs some money. She's driving around, she's walking the district, she's talking to people, she needs, water, bottled water, I don't know, coffee. I personally would need some coffee.
Me
So if
too.
you guys can, is there your website? I don't want to wait until the end of the program to let people know how to support you. That's why I brought it up now. We usually do it at the end, but since people are in here, I want them to know right now how they can support your campaign. Do you have a website?
Yes, ma'am. It's Veronica, G as in goat or G as in grandma, Williams.com because I am a grandma.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. And I
Okay.
have one on the way.
Oh, I
Miss
have
Ayana, that will be number 7.
numbers. Oh, wow. So what do they call you? Gigi or Nana or Mima or Granny?
They they just call me grandma. I'm okay with it. At first I was a little I don't, I'm too young to be called grandma. But you know what? As a mental health professional, I just embraced it because if I
Yeah,
can't do it, who can? You know?
that's right. We do have some questions in the audience. Let's see. How do you feel about veterans treatment as a whole in the Sianka, she calls it the BBL, but the big beautiful bill.
My mind was going towards Mexico. Uh, like I mentioned earlier, I totally disagree with it. I don't like that we removed a lot of staff, that people were fired or retired or laid off from the VA because, again, this takes away from services from our awesome veterans that have placed their lives on the line and their mental health on the line to provide us with security and safety. So, like I said, when I get to Congress, I'm gonna put those people back into the VA so they can provide the services that our veterans need.
All right. And the second question, any tips for someone visiting Big Bend National Park for the first time?
Great question. Man, I wish my son was here because I haven't been, but my son has. And so he loves it. What I would encourage you to do, the best time of year though, because, I've been in Texas for almost 20 years now, and don't go during the winter because people don't know how to act here. People are so used to the heat. Winter is tough for us. I'm sure you guys heard of
Yes.
our winter
Listen,
storm in
listen.
21. It was bad.
Texans, please. Us in the North are tired of holding your hand through every winter. Just admit to yourselves that you have snow, you have ice, and prepare something. Get salt trucks, get treatment, get shovels. At least buy a shovel,
We're
please.
big babies. I'm a
You,
big baby.
I watch
But
so many videos of people going outside and they're like knocking on the ice and they have no shovel. They're using brooms. What do you
yeah,
think is going to happen? Come on.
I'm sorry. We lose it. I'm sorry. But also a great time to go to Big Bend is during the fall. It's absolutely gorgeous here in the state of Texas. I really love the spring and the fall here in Texas.
All right. The spring and the fall, the best time to visit. If the SAVE Act passes, what are your plans?
So, in regards to the SAVE Act, that's meant to take away a lot of voting rights. Is it meant to take away all of women's voting rights? Every single woman, Miss Ayana?
No. Well,
Just
if you're
some.
just some, if the names, apparently if your names line up, if the names are lined up, like the name that on your ID matches the name on your birth certificate, then you're golden and you're a citizen. And I think that's it. I think that's
Well,
it.
I think it's not only going to affect me. I think it's going to affect the Democrats and Republicans the same way. So we might see, well, that will guarantee us a decrease in people that go vote, but I
Yeah.
think it's going to just hurt us all equally.
And I know that you're married. I don't know if Williams is your maiden name or your married name, but
My married name.
your married name. It's not on your birth certificate though, right?
No, no, but I do have a passport.
You have a passport.
Mhm.
I don't know what the see that's and this is my problem with this. They are trying to cram this through when elections are about to happen, right? So
Mhm.
states are in charge of elections. There's no time to change the election rules and then get the citizens up to speed. You would need at least a couple years to implement this. They're not even
Absolutely.
thinking. They're thinking, we'll pass this right now, and then it'll into effect right now, and then all the states will be able to implement all these changes right. No,
Miss Ayana.
some states are still finalizing their ballot language.
Yeah, I would argue that they know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
I would argue that they know that this is going to decrease voter turnout. And so I think this is their plan. Just like typically we don't redistrict, really gerrymandering. We don't do this at 5 years. We always do it at the 10-year mark every decade.
Mhm.
So clearly they know what they're doing. They're trying to suppress voters.
Was your district affected by the gerrymandering, the new maps at all?
Yes, a little bit. There's this town called Helotes, and now a lot more addresses are part of my district. And then they removed a little bit as well. And off the top of my head, I can't remember. But Miss Ayana, it's actually a little crazy. So first and foremost, I'm not for gerrymandering. I don't care who does it. But actually, this might help me because a lot of my friends now are in my district.
Oh, wow. Okay. And I hope they better vote. Listen, people, look at the polls. Early voting. I said it at the top of the hour. Early voting starts on Tuesday. Your friends better be lined up at the early voting stations
Yeah,
and
Miss
putting their
Ayana.
name on the ballot.
So for independence, though, it's not really going to help me that people that want to vote for me, so to speak, actually vote in the primaries because here in the state of Texas, I need to collect 500 signatures to be on the ballot come November. And so with that in mind, everyone that wants to sign my petition is not allowed to vote in the primaries. And all of my signatures have to come from within my district. They can't come from anywhere in the state of Texas. It's strictly within my district.
Listen, I have learned a lot about Texas this week. None of it good when it comes to voting. What is this place? No wonder people don't vote.
Major changes need to happen in the state and in the federal government.
So if people sign your petition to get your name on the ballot in November, they can't vote in the primary.
Correct. And I need to wait until after the primaries are over for me to collect the signatures, because once they sign my petition, they have to write the date. So if I try to get signatures, let's say the primary is over, but there's a runoff and the date is within that runoff, that signature doesn't count. So even if there's a runoff, I have to wait for that runoff to be over, and I have to get them before the end of June.
Oh, come on.
Yes, there's a lot of rules, obstacles I call them.
Yeah, so you have to find 500 people who didn't vote, number one, and then number two, you have to get their signature on the correct date.
Yes.
So you're saying June is probably the earliest that you could.
No, they have to be turned in by the end of June, but the earliest that I can get them, let's see, primaries start very soon. Early voting starts, I think, like what you said, next week.
Next
And
Tuesday.
right, and it may be over in March. So I'm hoping,
March 3rd is
crossing
the
my
primary.
fingers, right? I'm crossing my fingers that there's no runoff, because then that will, delay me from getting my signatures. But in block walking, I have already talked to a lot of people. Hey, are you willing to vote for me? Are you willing to sign my petition? And some are saying yes, because like me, they're also sick and tired of both parties, and they're willing to sign my petition. So I already have a couple names on my list that are guaranteed signatures for me.
Well, God willing, I hope you get more, honestly. People, if you're in her district, please do something. Follow the rule. Get with Veronica. Follow her on TikTok so that you can keep track of what she's got going on after the primary is over. The primary is March 3rd. After that is over, so that you can find out if you are even allowed, when you can sign her petition. Let her know, please. I have never heard this before. This is exhausting.
It is. It is. So I really have to hustle right after the primaries to get my signatures. But you know what, Miss Ayana? That's okay, because that's what I do. I'm a hustler. I have very strong work ethic. I have integrity, and I plan to take those values to Congress with me. So bring it on is what I say.
And they would be lucky to have those values, honestly, and they need them. But I'm just so surprised in doing these town halls, learning about all of the obstacles for independent candidates and grassroots candidates. And it's almost as if they don't want people running for office who are not a part of that larger scheme, that DNC, RNC scheme. But then if you join that, you have to, there's certain money you got to take, certain sacrifices you have to make. And then when you get into office, you have to, answer those. You have to pay those people back who paid you, so that you could run if you get into office, if you catch my drift, right?
Absolutely, yes, because then, you lose your values in that process.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about climate, environment, communities from Del Rio to Presidio. I hope I pronounced that correctly. I'm sure I didn't. Face chronic. Oh, I did. Okay. Chronic water scarcity. What federal investments would you fight for to secure long-term water access? That is sad. Water scarcity. Wow.
It is. It is. So one of my wonderful Navy experience that I got to witness is that on naval vessels, on Navy ships, we have our own desalinization process, right? Because we need to drink water. So what do we use? Well, what do? We use salt water, we use ocean water, and it gets through a process of desalinization. I hope I'm saying that right, that word always gets me tongue tied. But I also got the opportunity to go to the Persian Gulf in Saudi Arabia. I was able to get off the ship and visit Riyadh. And so that particular country also experiences drought. And I mentioned this country and my experience on this naval vessel because look, we have the Gulf of Mexico where we can pump water. Emphasis on Mexico, Miss
Emphasis
Ayana.
on Mexico, yes.
You know? And so we can totally use that water that we have in the Gulf, put it through a desalinization process, and we can use that water to provide the water for multiple uses to include our farmers.
Huh. How do you, are farmers kind of excited about that? I know it's kind of hard to get rural Americans on board with newfangled ideas for climate and energy and water. Do you think people would be excited by that, or?
The older generations, like baby boomers and people like me, Gen Xers, the ones that are closed-minded, no. But the younger generations are totally on board, to include, I would really love to see high-speed trains, bullet trains, in the US. Europe has them, China has them. Why not us? And so when I talk about this innovative stuff with the younger generations, oh my God, they get excited, And so we need to bring some of those innovative ideas to the US if we're to ever experience the greatest American economic comeback.
All right, I like that. So, let's see. I got a lot of questions left, and we only have 10 minutes. 10
Oh
minutes.
wow.
Oh, okay. Well,
We should have met at the I was gonna say bar, but no, at the restaurant. Sorry.
I told you I can talk, honey. I want to ask you about. I don't want to be insensitive about it. Your district does include Uvalde, and there was some recent developments with someone who was found not guilty in connection with what happened there, and using TikTok friendly language. I know that parents and educators worry about school safety, especially in small towns with limited resources. What realistic steps would you support to improve school safety without turning schools into armed zones?
When that Uvalde situation happened, it honestly broke my heart. I'm very close in proximity to Uvalde, so I was able to see the sorrow that a lot of my fellow citizens were going through. I'm a mother, I'm a grandma, and so that was a very devastating time. And I totally hate that our schools, they almost look like mini juvie halls with all the protections, the steel doors that we now have to implement. But to be honest with you, as a mental health professional, I respect the 2A. As a veteran, my husband's a veteran, my whole entire family are veterans. We are responsible pew-pew owners, but there still has to be regulations and guardrails in place because not every adult is a healthy individual. I know this to be true also as a mental health professional. So we need common sense laws to protect not only our children and families, but to also protect individuals that are unhealthy. Because I'm not trying to say, nor am I promoting that people with mental health struggles are a danger to the community, because oftentimes they're actually a danger to themselves and their families. So necessary guardrails need to be in place so that we can really secure our communities and, more than anything, our children, because they are our future.
Okay, so would you support, like where I live at, the police, if it's a mental health call, they have a social worker that goes with them, a social worker who's trained in dealing with people who are having a mental health crisis. They will have that person travel with them to help them deal with it. But also they have I forgot what they called it, some kind of list where if you know of somebody, like maybe in your family, who maybe severely autistic, maybe schizophrenic, and has some issues in that regard. You can let police be aware of that, and they will keep their name in a database, I guess, so that when they get calls about that person, it will alert them, this person is dealing with this particular issue, so proceed with caution or care or something. Do you think something like that, maybe on a national level, would be effective, or do you see that as surveillance?
I think that would be totally amazing to implement. I know the city of San Antonio has like a mental health unit, but we need more funding, because it's a small unit and sometimes they get multiple calls, so they can't tend to every single mental health call, unfortunately. And if San Antonio, who's the big city, has small funding for this, imagine the small towns. So the small towns don't get this type of funding. But I would totally support and I would totally love to see this nationwide, to have mental health professionals go on those police ride-alongs, so to speak, so they can cooperatively, work together as a team to handle these mental health cases.
Okay, I like that response. Let's see. So, if you're elected, what is the first major issue you would want to tackle for your district?
For my district. There's so many things that we need to fix, Miss Ayana.
Yeah.
So as the woman, I'm gonna have to multitask. And we need to tackle multiple things at one time. We need to fix the economy. We need to get rid of ICE. We need to hold people accountable, not only to include the ICE agents, but those that are trying to destroy our democracy by way of impeachments, and making sure that other individuals that have harmed people also get their day in court and are facing the judge and a jury of their peers in order to make positive change, but also to get our community to feel once again safe.
So what's one word you would use to describe your leadership style that you would be taking to Washington with you?
Just one word. Oh my God.
Just one. Just one. Or two. It could be a hyphenated word.
Compassion.
Compassion. Okay, compassion. So voters often say they feel disconnected from their representatives. How will you keep yourself accountable to the people who help get you elected?
Oh, that's a great question. I love it. When I've been block walking, I have told people my 3 points. I'm anti-corruption, pro-fixing the economy, and pro-unity. And this one gentleman asked me, you know what? I've heard a lot of candidates in the past tell me that they're anti-corruption, but once they're there, they're serving forever and, they become millionaires. Right. And I was like, you know what? I totally get that and why you feel that way. I said, but I actually have a plan to not get addicted to money and power. And again, because I'm a mental health professional, I know that any human being can get addicted to money and power. So my plan is to, number one, self-impose a boundary. I call it a term limit boundary. If my voters allow it, and if I'm doing a great job, I would love to serve no more than 3 terms. Each term is only 2 years. So by the end of 6 years, you're not going to see me run again. I don't believe in running for 15, 20, 30, 40 years. I think that's disgusting. And we need to implement term limits. Number 2, I want to start a mentorship program. And starting from day one, I believe that strong and confident and secure leaders actually look for their replacement. So by the end of 6 years, I would like to endorse someone and say, hey, this candidate is ready to serve. They're not going to make the mistakes I have made as a candidate, and this is who I would like to endorse. And lastly, politicians, once they get into Congress, get the ultimate insider trading information. So I am not going to invest in the stock market. In this way, I will keep myself incorruptible.
So are you familiar with who's currently in the seat that you're running for?
Yes, ma'am.
How does your style of legislating or leadership differ from that person? What can people expect you to do that would be different from what their current representative is doing?
The current incumbent, he's a fellow Navy veteran of mine, and I believe that my fellow vet has lost his way. In the Navy, we are taught to protect and to serve all of our citizens, not just the ones on the red team or the blue team. And it really saddens me that he has lost sight of that. But a major difference is that I don't take corporate monies and I don't take APAC funds. And that's one major difference that he and I have.
Okay. Looking ahead 5 to 10 years, you said you only want 3 terms.
That's it.
So, what is your long-term vision for your district, and how do you hope residents will be able to look back on your service and say their lives and communities were improved because you represented them?
There's a lot of small towns in my district, and there's a lot of small farmers and ranches in my district. And I really want to push for those federal monies to go into my district to improve Wi-Fi and Google services. And I want to also invest in the small farmers. And I want to share a story with you. When my husband was deployed overseas to Iraq and Afghanistan, my husband was a convoy commander. So he got to experience a lot of the roadside, I'm thinking of TikTok friendly language, not pew pews, but the things that would
Yeah,
go
yeah,
kaboom.
the spicy boom booms, we call them.
Yeah, the spicy boom booms. Thank you. And so I asked my husband, so in these countries are considered third world countries. And so I asked him, so how did they detonate these things? And he said via cell phones. So can you believe that they have better cell phone service than in my small town that I live in? Right? Right?
I don't mean to laugh, but yeah, that's surprising. That's surprising.
Yes.
That is. Yeah.
Right. So I know for a fact that a lot of my fellow small town people will be so grateful if we didn't lose service just because we go and check on the cows or the cornfields, and small farmers need a lot of support. There's a lot of wealthy farmers that have thousands of acres. They don't need any more federal subsidies. Our small farmers need to be supported.
Okay, and just one more question. I was trying to find it here on this page. If you saw me looking away, I was not being distracted. I was looking for this last question that I wanted to ask you. Oh gosh. It's supposed to be a fun question.
Ooh, I love them. Let's do them.
If your district had an official snack, what would it be?
Takis, hands down.
Oh my gosh, Takis. Oh,
Takis, everyone is addicted to them.
my own kids used to be so addicted to the blue ones and the orange ones and oh my goodness, used to have the
Yes.
stains on the fingers.
That's
Ay,
right.
ay.
Proof, right? Did you have Takis? No?
I've had one Taki in my entire life. I almost didn't survive. It was really spicy. What's your go-to road trip song for driving the district's 800 miles? 800?
Yes, it's massive. Because I have traveled the world courtesy of the military, I love a lot of different genres. I love Spanish music. I love jazz. I love Beyonce, the rhythm and blues and R&B. I'm a huge fan of Ice Cube because I was raised in the 90s, And so I love all genres and I love to listen to them all. And I'm just bobbing my head, enjoying the scenery.
You like Bad Bunny?
I do.
Okay.
I do. But I have a confession to make. I speak Mexican Spanish, and so it's hard for me to understand Puerto Rican Spanish. But I love the rhythm and the whole entire show that Bad Bunny put out there. I totally enjoyed it, and I was dancing to those grooves.
That's so funny to me how it really is that different, the different regional dialects. That is so incredible to me.
Yeah,
Like
and
I'm thinking, I took,
the slang is different too.
yeah. I'm thinking, okay, I took Spanish in college and high school. I can translate. I only knew one word. I was like, okay, Novia. I know Novia. Yeah. I didn't know anything else. I didn't know nothing else.
So my husband was asking me, "Hey, what's he saying?" I was like, "I don't know, but it sounds nice."
That is so funny. Oh my gosh. I can't, I loved it. I loved it so much. It was lovely to see. And that Mexico got a shout out and Canada got a shout out. I was
Yes.
just, I loved it. I loved it.
Yes, because Bad Bunny is right. You know, all these Canada to include all the Spanish speaking countries, we're all America, and
We're
people tend to
all
forget that.
America.
We
Yeah,
are all America.
we are. I mean,
Mhm.
and what did he say? The only thing stronger than hate is love. And that is so true. So true.
Absolutely. A
So,
man after my heart.
oh, I, I'm afraid we've come to the end of our
No
journey.
way. We need to meet again. It was so much fun.
And I still have so many questions. Like I'm trying to find like one last thing, but it'll just start another hour-long conversation. So
I think
I
so.
want I want you to spend the last few minutes that we have with you. I want you to tell the people how they can support you, where they can find you online, and all the good things.
Thank you so much. Once again, my website is Veronica, G as in grandma, Williams.com. I do need individual donations, please, because my district is massive. Don't worry, I do not take corporate monies or APAC funds. You can find me on TikTok, Instagram, Substack, and other social media platforms that I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's right there on my website. So please follow me. And I appreciate everyone for hanging out with me and the opportunity to have fun with you, Miss Ayana. We need to hang out
Yes.
again.
Yes, we do. I followed you. Maybe I'll see you in these TikTok streets, as they
Absolutely.
say.
In the hood.
In the hood of, it is a hood, honey. It is a
It is.
hood.
Thank
So
you so much,
again,
everyone.
we have been speaking with Veronica Williams, who is an independent running for the U.S. House of Representatives out of Texas's 23rd district. And I've said this now a few times. Early voting starts next week on Tuesday, but don't vote for her yet. Not yet. If you want to vote for her, don't vote in that primary for her. Okay? You vote for anything else. I hear you guys are selecting a senator or something. Uh, but if you're in her district, don't, if and you want to vote for her, don't vote for her yet. Okay? She broke it down. She broke down the whole thing. This is actually going to be on YouTube
Awesome.
in a couple of days. So if people want to figure out what we're talking about here, you can go there. Or if you're in Texas, you understand what she's talking about. I learned
Mhm.
today that you can't just go and vote for an independent candidate. You got to sign a
Not in the
paper.
primaries. That's
Not
right.
in the primaries. You got to sign papers and you have to show, your blood type and all these different things. It's crazy.
That's
But
right. You know, hand over your firstborn, everything.
yes. Oh my gosh. You have to sign over your house. It's crazy.
That's
But
right.
we thank you everybody for joining us this evening. We do have another town hall coming up after this one, I do believe. I don't have the information on my paper though. If somebody has the graphic, can you help a sister out? They're pausing it. In the meantime, yes, Joseph Perez Caputo, who's running for Connecticut another House of Representatives candidate tonight at 9 o'clock Eastern. So just 30 minutes away. If you guys want to come back and listen to a candidate from Connecticut, we would certainly appreciate it. I don't know if it'll be as fun as this one. I don't know.
I think so.
I think so. No. But it'll be worth your time. I promise it'll be worth it. We've had candidates from all over the country, and so having someone from Connecticut, I think this is our first Connecticut candidate. So you guys come back 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern for Joseph Perez Caputo. He's running for the House of Representatives out of Connecticut's 4th District. And again, Veronica, thank you so, so much for joining us. It has been a joy. It has been a
Thank you so much for
joy.
having
Oh
me.
my gosh.
We've had a lot of fun. I'm gonna go to Ohio to visit you, girl,
Nobody comes to Ohio, please.
but not in the winter.
Not in the winter, right? It's still, despite the snow melting, it's still cold. Cold AF, as they say.
Oh
But we thank you so much for joining us. Again, my name is Ayana, and this is Our Vote Counts, a nonpartisan movement uniting Americans from all walks of life to support candidates of integrity like Veronica and to spread the message of voting and voter education throughout the lands. Again, we thank you for joining us. We hope you'll be back at 9 p.m. Eastern. Follow Veronica, support her campaign. We also are soliciting for moderators and hosts for our town halls because these races are heating up and more people want to have a town hall and we want to offer it to them. So DM us if you're interested in moderating or hosting. The host is the person who opens the account, and if I don't know if you can see it, but the little mute at the top, they just make sure all of the graphics come up because I forget to write things down. But but the moderator is the person like me who talks and laughs and giggles when I should be talking about serious things like voting. But again, hit us up in the DMs and let us know. And we thank you again, Veronica. And we'll see you all again at 9 p.m. Eastern. Bye, everybody.
no! Bye. Thank you so much.